All right, so I'm gonna give you your
Yeah.
introduction. We got the Brooklyn duo here, Sports and Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Bathe available right here on the show here tonight for Sports and Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, live 365-hour radio. Corey and Devin's in the building. Welcome to the show, guys. How's everything going?
It's going well, man. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Congratulations on the new single, all the success. I did my research on you, Bi-Coastal. That was the debut. You got some big things on the way here. You're going to be on tour. This is going to be the first headliner, as Corey spoke about before. So just talk to me about how you guys are feeling about the new single that just came out, Avalon, available on all platforms now, and then the upcoming tour.
Oof. Corey, you want to hit it?
Yeah, it was like a 3 year gap between the last tape and this one, and a lot happens in 3 years. Creatively, it was a journey. It really feels like all this putting music back out again, putting out Avalon, putting out the new single Fields, putting out these records, man. It feels like a celebration. It feels like coming out of the cave, after digging for gold or exploring for gold. It feels like coming out back from battle. You know what I mean? It feels like like the award ceremony after doing a lot of hard work. And whenever anybody, taps in, is like, yo, I listened to your song when I was out with my girlfriend. Oh, I listened to your song, uh, you know, while I was working. Like that's like, that's what you do it for. So it feels really good to be back after, so much time away.
Yeah. And we can even take it to the beginning here because you guys met at the University of Philadelphia.
Yeah, University of Pennsylvania, man. We've been
Oh,
doing
it's
this for
Pennsylvania. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no stress, man. We've been doing this for a long time. We like met through music. We were in another band, two other bands before we started making Bathe music together. So this is kind of one of those musical connections, those musical partnerships that's kind of like it's baked in, man. We've been like locked in for a long time and looking forward to just like seeing the rest of this roll out together, to kind of just like seeing the fruits of our labor finally come into fruition, man.
It's been a long time coming. I heard that, I think it was you, Corey, right? You were having a bad day with your friends, and Devin was the one to cheer you guys up with a song.
Oh, that's Flip. That's Flip. That
That's
was
Listen,
Flip.
Devin.
yeah. Yo, it's so funny. We tell different versions of that story all the time. But nah, yeah, that was it, man. Like we were having a bad day, having a bad day. And Corey just came in, played one of these songs that like I don't know, in the state that we were in, if you get my drift, it kind of just sounded like the heavens were opening up, man. And that was the start of a beautiful friendship.
So when did you guys start to hit the studio? Because from that point on, you said that you needed him in your life. So when did you take things to the next step and go into the studio together?
Well, we lived together. Uh, it's like right after college, essentially. Us and all of our musician homies all moved into one house together. Like our friend had this spot that he was trying to fill up. And so we had this empty attic. And so we ended up taking all of our studio gear. Like, I had like a little MIDI keyboard. Someone else would have a little microphone. We had like a little desk. And we just made this like makeshift studio in the attic. And so it was kind of like open access. And so anybody could go up there and work whenever they felt like it. And mind you, this attic was right above my room. So wherever anybody was doing, I would like hear it through the ceiling. So slowly but surely, everyone who lived together, we just started collaborating because you would just go up and you'd be going up to work and someone's already there. And like, you just start listening. Hey, why don't you try this? Hey, you mind if I throw a verse on this? And then
Oh,
before you know it, like everybody in the house we were just constantly working together.
that's it.
Do you feel as though you guys set out to make genreless music? Because I know you guys have a lot of influences from neo soul, but Blood Orange I was reading about, so you got the rock influences in there. Do you guys try to just get into the studio and make whatever you guys are feeling and not keeping it strictly within one genre at times?
Absolutely. I feel like we can't get away from like the R&B, the soul. That's in the DNA. That's in like, Sunday dinners. But like we kind of just we literally will just like throw on a drum loop, or we'll just like cook up with like whatever idea comes to mind. We don't care about if it reminds us of Blood Orange or Dijon or Sampha or whoever it is. Like we just kind of go with the flow, and we let like the idea kind of drive itself. We're kind of just like conduits. So yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, no, I could tell you guys have a lot of influences there, and even with the boom bap on this new track that you guys just
Yeah.
released. So I love paying you guys paying homage to that. Similar kind of like D'Angelo did back in the day. You guys are just carrying on that tradition now, and it's big. It's having a lot of impact out here, and people are seeing it. And I did want to get into. Do you have this partnership with Monarch now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Talk to me
Yeah.
how you got that partnership.
Uh, man, it was honestly, it's like when you put this music out, especially when you're independent, and of course you play shows and stuff, and you meet fans, and you know that they're into it, but you just never know who out there is just like a fan of what you're doing, supporting what you're doing. Abe over at Monarch was just like one of those people who just like was just tapped in, was a fan of what we were doing, like enjoyed what we were doing. Just through, just bumping shoulders in the industry, finally we're able to like sit down and chat and talk and really like hear the extent to how excited he was about what we had going on. We stayed in touch for a while, showed him the new records. He had a vision for it, and it just was like a really symbiotic, just like organic relationship. Like that's why I always say to like other people putting music out, like you just never know who's listening. Like that's the fun part of all this. You never know who's out there just like,
Sure.
downloading the records.
For sure. Definitely can't forget about Jason and that. Shout out to Jason too. But yeah, absolutely.
It's not always the numbers, it's in who's in the numbers. That's the thing that's so important. I think
Right.
people get caught up in nowadays because they're like, oh, I may not have enough numbers, but it always counts as to who is in those numbers, because it could be the person that signed to you to that next big record deal. It doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be some random person. It could be a big time executive.
It absolutely could be, but it could also just be a person who leaves you the sweetest comment that you needed on a bad day. And that means so much more than seeing like 100,000 whatevers or a million whatevers. Like sometimes you just need someone to say, yo, I heard your song and it like made me feel like everything was okay. And I'm like, damn, like I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what keeps you going, and you know that you're on the right path. And how do you guys, because you guys have been working at it for so long now, because you started in your 20s, you're in your 30s. So do you guys this criticism or just negative comments? Because I always talk about this with artists, that you can't really feed into the negative comments. Do you just let it roll off of you when you see that? Because we don't pay it, we get so caught up as creatives looking at that one negative compared to the 30 positive you get. So how do you guys manage criticism? Do you just let it roll off you?
I think negative comments, I think criticism of all kinds with all intentions, I think it's all good. I think it's all
Mm,
positive. I think at the end of the day, like your goal, I think any piece of art that was made in a fashion that was like fearless, where somebody wasn't afraid, is going to attract positivity and is going to attract negativity. Like I think that's just all art. Like I don't care. You can pick the best artist in the world. You can take somebody who this is the first thing they've ever made. If they made it from a perspective of like it's coming from a real place and they're not afraid, like somebody is going to react negatively to it. That's just inherent to art. And so to me, whenever I see a negative comment, even if it's somebody trolling or something, it's like it's just a reminder to me. Like when I made this piece of art, like I knew good and well that it might not be for everybody, and I pushed through that and did it anyway. And if we're ever putting out art and there's just nobody saying anything negative, it's like, damn, like, did we just do something really palatable and easy for everyone to digest and no one really feels that strongly about it? I also feel like it's important to remember the root where it's coming from. Like some people are going to give you criticism because they care. You know what I mean? Some people give you criticism because they're bored. So it's always good to just keep
or
that in
they're haters.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some
Yeah.
people, yeah, it's just a way to pass the time, and like you know what I mean, like for some people. So I
Yeah.
always just try to keep it on perspective and remember that like it's part of what you sign up for when you decide to put art out into the public space, into the public sphere.
Can I tell a quick little
Of
anecdote?
course.
So me and Corey talk about this sometimes. But there was this one gathering that our friends had, beautiful on a rooftop in Williamsburg. We were all just kind of vibing out. It was just when Corey and I like made our music public for the first time. So we're kind of riding a high. Like people were noticing that we didn't expect would notice our music. So we're like 23, we're excited as hell. And then in the corner of like the room, I hear like someone talking and they say like, yeah, they're cool, but like they're probably only just gonna ever write for someone. Like they're never really gonna make it, right?
Hmm.
And that's one of those things where like at the time with such like a fragile ego, that became like not only did it wound me, I kind of like let it be like a driving force in music where like I was like, oh, I'm gonna prove this person wrong. But then slowly but surely that transformed into the kind of relationship that Corey has with criticism, where it's like, yo, like if people don't respond, if they don't say anything negative about your art, it's because it's not worthwhile. So like, yeah, no, like that it's been a journey of like accepting criticism in music for me. Yeah.
You got to use it as fuel to your fire, and I like that
Right. Right.
because that's how
Yeah,
you
it's just part
succeed.
of it's just the game, man. It's like it's what you signed up to do. Point to me to any artist that is like on the charts or that anybody that has a fan base and doesn't have a single negative comment. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
think
Like,
I no, I agree. I think today a lot of the hip hop acts that we get, I think the criticism is deserved because I think the quality could be a lot better than what it is. But the R&B, I think
yeah.
R&B is a good in a good space. You guys are in a good space, but the hip hop artists, it's very questionable what's going on out here. But we'll leave that for another
Oh
interview.
yeah, yeah.
we'll
I
have,
will
we'll have
say, I
Tyler
think
handle that one.
heard. I will say, I think when I think of criticism, at least like in regards to us, I'm always thinking about like purely artistic, not like you are not a good person. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because that type of criticism that might bother me a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but Devin, you're from Queens, and
Yeah.
Corey, we already talked about it earlier, but I did want to get into the interview, the Connecticut, because we do have that in common. You're from Hartford, so do you miss Connecticut, man? Do you really miss it?
I was saying, man, like when you're from Connecticut, you spend the whole first chapter of your life is just dedicated. At least it was for me and my friends, dedicated to trying to get out. Anything you can do to get out. So, like, yo, I'm not gonna like stay here forever, man. But then you get out. Like I've been living in New York for almost like 10 years now. And whenever I'm back in Connecticut, I'm like, yo, I just like can see the sky, like the walks in nature are great. Like everyone's so nice. I'm like, damn, I really took it for granted.
You think it's
So I
nice? The
think,
drivers are psychotic.
okay, well, I think, you know what I mean? And I will say, like, if you're not, whenever we're like upstate or like in Connecticut, it's just a different type of driving, period. You know what I mean? It's like, I know a lot of people who aren't from there, like, they can't fathom the fact that you're going 60 and you can't see around the bend. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is just New England. It's just New England. Like, you'll be all right. But all in all, I can honestly say that I miss elements of it. I don't know if I would move back there permanently, but I definitely like I miss it at times.
Devin, have you been to Connecticut knowing that Corey's from here? Has he took you here?
Yeah, I've been can't say that I like left a lasting impression, but you know.
uh, yeah, it sucks.
Dude, I'm so sorry. That was foul. I took
No, it's cool. It's cool, man. Look, we get a lot of hate. We get a lot of hate.
but
It
it's
is what
not
it is.
worthwhile if it doesn't get some criticism, you feel me?
Oh, it does. It needs to, it really needs to develop an entertainment scene here, but I think that's going to be
Oh,
impossible.
definitely.
That's why you, Corey, you went to New York, and then that's why you're moving around. A lot of times the creatives just get stuck here and trapped, or they eventually do make it out by moving, but very few make it out of here. I always say it's the Connecticut
Yeah.
curse.
Oof.
I really just think, and I might be biased being from like Hartford, but like I really just think Hartford needs more venues. Like we really didn't have like, dude, we were going to Toad's Place in New Haven for every single
Next
show.
to
That's an
Yale.
hour away. Yeah, like that's really the only. I mean, that and like Comcast Center. You know what I mean? So I really feel like if there's more like small venues, I feel like you could facilitate more of that like organic music industry that other cities have that we still sorely lack. And that was Corey from the reporting live from Connecticut. The Connecticut hour. You know what I mean?
uh Horrible.
That's the
But
most specifically I've talked about Connecticut in any interview, I think. No one normally cares.
I'm glad you could get that off, brother.
But Devin, are you still in Queens, or are you in Brooklyn now?
I'm in Brooklyn
You're in
now.
Brooklyn. So how is that short commute, the Brooklyn Queens connection there?
To be fair, I went from Queens to Philly to Brooklyn, so you know it was a little roundabout. But no,
Yeah.
and like it's always really strange because growing up, like the five boroughs had like a war, and Staten Island doesn't really count, but like the rest of us, we had like a little war where everyone would be like, "I'm from Queens, I'm from Manhattan, I'm from Brooklyn," and I, like as a Queens kid, I was like, "Yeah, I would never go to like I would never live in Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn sucks." And then I came back after school and I was like, this is pretty cool. So now I've been having to deal with those feelings. But no, man, it's great. Like, first of all, like I love that so enough of my friends moved here for me to feel like I've got like my college community slash like my acquired community of like my extended community. Like it feels like home here. But like I can literally hop on the LIRR, go see my mama, then hop on the path, go see my baby sister and my dad. Like I'm really, really blessed. Like I get the fun and the excitement of Brooklyn while still feeling connected to everything that matters to me. So yeah, solid arrangement all around.
That's big. It's
Yeah,
important that you're staying out there because, like I said, the opportunities are going to come from New York. And I mean,
yeah.
do you guys want to stay in New York? Now that you're going on tour, you might be able to really see a lot around around the country. Do you guys want to relocate potentially, or do you feel like you're going to be staying in New York?
I know Dev has an answer to this, so I'll let you rock.
I've been trying to get out of New York for my entire life. So like, yeah, absolutely, man. I
Yeah.
think, like you said, tour is always an opportunity to kind of like try out different places. Corey fell in love with Portland for 5 seconds until he did it. Like, and I absolutely want to live around.
They're just too nice. Sorry, Portland. Anybody watching from Portland, it's my bad. Y'all just too nice. All right, my
Shout
bad.
out Portland. Shout out Portland. But no, I've wanted to live in Lisbon, Brazil, so many places. But it's gonna happen. It'll come in due time. Corey, how do you feel though?
He's gonna like not shout it out, so I have to shout it out. Dev is trilingual.
Oh
This
God.
man speaks Portuguese, Spanish. The world is his oyster. He's starting French soon. He's just gonna be like, he's gonna be like, where in the world where in the world is Dev? You feel me?
Are you gonna get me in
That
trouble?
passport getting stamped up. But for me, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I've expended a lot of energy in my 20s, man. I think I'm looking for somewhere that I can just chill. And we went on tour before, and a lot of the conceptions you have of cities when you're actually there, you're like, wow, like feels completely different than I thought it would. And a lot of the cities that I didn't think I was as passionate about ended up being spots where I was like, oh, this is fire. Like, of course, I'm originally from Chicago. I always underestimate how much I would love to go back to Chicago until I'm there. Um, even spots like I really had a great time in the Bay. So I could definitely see in the next chapter of my life just trying to find somewhere with it's a little bit more slow, a little bit more slow going.
With some
You could
water.
always go back to Connecticut.
Facts. I feel like everybody might clown me though. I don't know, but
No,
then
I would
again,
never
I
go
can live
back.
with the.
You can live
I
with the
heard you.
criticism.
I
You
would never.
know, it's like, especially now that all of my friends who also wanted to get out of Connecticut all successfully got out. I'm like, yo, who would I be talking to on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, that place is terrible. But I want to take it back to Sure Shot because when you released this track, this was the track that generated a lot of numbers for you, and to the point where should you guys just quit your job, the music industry isn't always what it seems anymore. A lot of it, I believe, is just a front. And I think we see that with people buying numbers and just people having all these cars and jewelry. When you really look behind it and not just buying into the image that you see, a lot of those jewelry pieces and cars are rented, they're borrowed, or they buy those items and they're completely broke. So did you guys get to end up quitting your jobs now that you've been going on tour? Or are you guys still out here doing odd jobs? Are you guys still looking for the point to where you could just make a living off of the music? Because I look at it, it looks like you guys have great success off of the albums that we released so far by Coastal.
Yeah. Well, first things first, I wish we were smart enough to have bought streams. That would have made life so much easier. But uh I'll be completely honest with you. I'll just tell my half and I'll let Corey get his. Like absolutely the dream is to make music the like sustainable like career path that we know it can be for us. But to be completely honest, I got laid off from my job and it just timed like it was timed perfectly that like we got in the relationship that we got in with like our, with Monarch and
Wow.
album started doing like Bicoastal started doing crazy numbers all of a sudden. So like again, it's kind of just serendipity that like I happen to not have to work a job at the exact moment where this is almost like where you can kind of see a future in this thing, like for real, for real. So yeah, man, I just got lucky. I don't know if you want to hit yours, Corey.
No, I feel similarly. I also got laid off from my last job. It was like on some like crazy downsizing, like couldn't have seen it coming type vibes.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I think that in certain points in a music career, you have to put it number one. You have to block everything else out and just hustle. And the I got laid off a bit before Devin did, and getting laid off just instilled that fire in me. I felt like for me, it just had felt like these corporate jobs I was having as a musician, as someone who's passionate about music, as a producer. It just felt like a vicious cycle of you get this corporate job, you're doing your job, but you're not aspiring to be hired because you want to fill your extra time with music. You don't want to fill your time doing the extra work to get recognition to be hired. And then eventually they downsize or somebody mismanages the money or they want to restructure the team and you're the first person on the list because you haven't spent the last year grinding to be at the next level, you know? So it just felt like I found myself in that cycle and it felt like the only way out was to just follow my passion and just grind. And don't get me wrong, like I'm definitely not in like buying chains and cars like territory at the moment. I feel like something that would behoove anybody who wants to be a musician is uh, financial literacy and learning a lot about like how to get the most out of your money. But definitely am blessed to be in the position where like I can like pursue music in a responsible way.
for sure. Behoove is such a good word, bro.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm pulling out all the SAT words, man. You on the pod, bro. You have to. Yeah.
Uh, but you guys got the upcoming LP, Inside Voices. This is your follow up to Bi-Coastal. It's got a double-edged sword to it because it's based off of kind of what we were just talking about. You're in the place that you're currently at, but you're always longing to be where you want to be, and you may not always get there. You're kind of always just longing there. So talk to me how you guys came up with the concept of that. Was it before that you guys got laid off? And it's crazy how you both got miraculously laid off because that means it was truly destined for you guys to be doing this right now. So was the title something that you came up with before the laid off? You guys got laid off?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't remember exactly what the timing was. I think it might
It
have
was after my layoff, before your
before
layoff.
mine. Okay, yeah, yeah. That sounds about right. But I think that like um we kind of just like the name came out of kind of like a mutual feeling that I think Corey and I have always had where it's like I think there are periods where we feel like we're writing honestly, and then there are periods where it feels like we're writing because we want to, you know, pop a hit. We're writing because we want it to perform like this on TikTok or on Spotify. And I think that like I love Bicoastal. There were some moments where we weren't writing our truth because we were kind of like trying to be, you know, tactical about how exactly we wanted something to present or be received. And I think we kind of just made a pact on Inside Voices to kind of just like honor like the, you know, the influences, the genres, the stories that we've always wanted to tell and that we've wanted to express. And so it kind of just came out of that. We were just like, yeah, like this album's about honoring our inside voices. Sometimes those inside voices are just like, you know, they're excited, they're optimistic. Sometimes they're a little bit pessimistic, and that's okay. They're both sort of these like dual reflections of yourself. So yeah, that's kind of like that. That's the story there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep. I like the. I mean, that's so important nowadays. You got to have a concept with the album, and you mentioned the TikTok thing. I think people should be focused on making their art off of what they want to create, because a lot of people are gearing it towards the market. Do you kind of agree with that? That you should be making the music within your own vision, because there's so many people trying to follow the TikTok trend, and then they're here today, gone tomorrow. That's pretty
I
much what the
also just
music industry is.
I just don't think it works.
I
Just on
agree.
like a
I don't
base
think it does.
on a base level, I honestly think like I think a lot of the TikTok popular songs, not all of them, but a lot of them, if you actually go listen to the song, it's actually like a really good song. Just like hands down. Like especially a lot of these cuts from like the 90s and the 80s that are like getting a second life. Um I don't think you can like replicate that by doing anything other than what they did, which was just like trying to be authentic and just trying to make something really good. And if people relate to it that way, then they do. But I don't know. I think it's kind of like when we were growing up and like the first round of fake ads hit the internet, and we could like my mom would be like, Corey, like I clicked this and my computer's crashing. I'd be like, why did you click that? It's clearly a fake ad. Like I could see it, but like she couldn't. Now it's kind of like that, like I feel like especially the younger generation is so attuned, and music fans in general are so attuned to when something's not being made
Mhm.
like organically or like it's not real, and they immediately are just like nah. And it's really like the executives and the people who are really far away from the studio, far away from the music, they can't hear the difference. You know what I mean? So I
I
really just
agree.
think on a baseline level, it just doesn't actually work. And I think the eventually more people will realize that, and folks will get back to just like being fans of artists and wanting to see them succeed, and then that's why they get behind them, not because they think that their stuff is going to be more palatable on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah. I want to see artwork praised again. That's the thing. I mean, you guys are doing it. Like I said, the R&B is in a great space, but it seems as though the executives want whatever twerk fest or the most toxic thing that you can get right now, and they're signing you up for it. They're putting you on that contract until once they feel as though the lightning in the bottle is gone, then they'll ditch you and get you the next hot person that's twerking on the internet. And it's just a vicious cycle that the hip hop industry is in now, and it's a shame. And I mean, I think you guys have cracked the code. You got the partnership with Monarch, and R&B is in a great place right now. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, man. Like there are a lot of like folks just doing really exciting things, exploring sonic palettes that like people haven't really touched before. Like a lot of our homies, like Cruza, Ryan Sun, like there are just so many people that are just like exploring all the different parts of themselves in R&B. And yeah, like you said, we're in a good spot. We're in a really
Yeah,
yeah.
And
I,
I
I
would
was
say
impressed when revisiting the music. I was impressed.
Appreciate you,
and
man.
I'll say like um I'm optimistic about the future of hip hop. I will say, I think if you look at a lot of genres in the past that have enjoyed a large amount of mainstream success, whatever that big genre is, whatever that everyone is doing numbers in, it attracts a lot of people who don't have love for the genre. And they're there to make some money,
Right.
and they oversaturate the market, and they make stuff that doesn't really have a lot of artistic merit. And it makes it feel like everything there doesn't have a lot of artistic merit. And then over time, people get bored of it and they move on, and something else becomes the popular genre. And then that gets clogged with a bunch of people who aren't really interested in making great music. But that original genre over time gets replenished with new people bringing new energy. I think you're seeing it right now with like EDM. Like when I was in high school, that was the number one genre. And like now people are doing really interesting, cool, like Fred again. And like you have all these new DJs popping up who are making great music because they got some time outside of that mainstream limelight. So I kind of think it's going to happen I mean, I can name like alternative rock in the '90s that happened, disco in the '70s that happened. Like, that's kind of like the cycle of music. So I like to think that and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of dope rappers now, but I think hip hop will probably go through a little bit of a waning period. The executives will like leave it alone a bit, and then you're gonna have a whole new wave of people doing crazy stuff with it. So I'm just excited for that.
Hopefully, we get a new Wu-Tang. That would be nice.
Dude, I think they're on. Dude, they're probably like they're somewhere random, like Hartford, Connecticut.
And the kids are all
you
right.
know?
There's so many fire, like, especially like around Brooklyn. Like there's Life of Tom, who's incredible. Like there's so many dope. Like I mean, everyone knows Mavi and like Mike and all of them, but like
Skywater.
exactly, bro. There's like a
Uh,
whole like crew of just like folks that are really pushing boundaries. Maybe they're not getting like the limelight that they deserve, but they're really pushing the craft forward. So I really shout out to them and shout out to hip hop. I'm optimistic too.
That's good. Getting back to the new LP that you got on the way, just the title more. Do you guys have a definition of, or have it picked out to where you want to be?
Mm. Ooh, in terms of,
Your
can you
career wise, the journey.
ooh, I feel like our or my answer changes a ton. I'm not gonna speak for you, Corey. Um, I think you asked a question earlier about like, you know, us being able to quit our jobs. To be honest, I think that like if you go into music with the expectation that you're going to become like filthy rich, you're going into the exact wrong profession. Like you're doing like you're making a horrible, terrible mistake. And so like for us, like I can sincerely say that like music for me is just something that like I love dearly enough for it to be a career that I could never get tired of, and that like
Mm.
I just want to be able to like provide for my family and like, you know, take my friends out to a nice dinner every once in a while, off of like what we make off of, like, yeah, like off of what we make on music, while knowing that like we're creating as sincerely as possible, we're putting out work that will resonate with people beyond the current moment. Like after no one, you know, revisits our TikTok page again, I know that there's some kid in Hartford, Connecticut, throwing on our record, being like, "Holy shit!" Oh, sorry, can I curse on here?
You can.
All right, cool. Like, holy shit! Like, I want to make something like this, but I want to push it forward. Like, that's what I want. I want to leave like a legacy that people are so like attracted to that they want to build on it. If that comes in the form of like awards, cool. If it doesn't, if it just comes in the form of us being like some cult classic act that someone rediscovers in 2040, like I'm super down for that. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. I think, the only thing I would add is I just want to make a lot more music.
right,
Mm.
I just want to be like, yeah, that's what it's always, just creating the environment and where we're not taking 3 years between each record. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure, I just want to like, I don't know, just keep on keeping on. I'm like, and just keep turning life into art.
right. Ooh,
I hope the new record can inspire people because there's a lot of people. We always got to be grateful at the end of the day because we know our purpose and what we want. You guys found that out, and especially with quitting your jobs and living off of making a living off of what you love doing. You're gonna be going back on tour here. You got the new record coming out, but there's a lot of people that are in their 20s that have no direction and don't even know their purpose after going to school all these years, which is scary. What are your
right.
thoughts on that when you see people that I don't even know how that even happens that you get people that just have no direction and just don't
Well,
know their purpose, even when they're in their mid to late 20s. You got to figure out what you're
I
doing at
would
some point.
I would say I think I think that oftentimes more people know what they're like here to do than we give credit for.
Mhm.
We live in a society, especially in America, that instills a lot of fear into you. Like, how am I going to take care of myself? How am I going to do this? How am I going to keep my lights on? How am I going to? And I think that that can make it really confusing to listen to your inner compass.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I think most people know what they're here to do. I think sometimes you can get scared away from doing it. And
Right.
sometimes it's people who love you trying to tell, like, like my parents were like, "You want to be a music producer?" And I don't blame them for having that response. But I think that that can make it a lot harder to get in touch. And I think like the best thought exercise is just to think about, I always just like, it's just to think about like when you get to the end of all this, like when you get to the end of your life, like what are you going to look back and wish that you spent your time doing?
Right.
That's probably what you just need to be doing.
Right.
And, like when you let go of like those fears and you just put your faith and you almost have like a naive hope that it's just going to work out. Like what are you willing to like wake up and just go after every day?
Right. And I'm glad that you asked this question, like, because I think the album, I don't think that it touches on this topic specifically, but I think that there's definitely like a thread there where it's like sometimes like your inside voice, sometimes your purpose, as uninteresting as it sounds, sometimes like there are some people's purpose is just to chill and to just enjoy life and be kind to the people around them. And like
Yeah, thanks.
that's a real thing, you know. And I feel like Corey said, like we live in a world that's so we're so focused on optimizing, we're so focused on productivity that like those people aren't even allowed to entertain the thought that that might be their purpose because they like feel guilty about it, you know. I think that Corey and I are lucky enough to know that like our purpose is to create things, like to create art and music. But some people like they were literally just meant to like exist in community and be solid people. and we don't like give them space to live that truth. And I found it sad sometimes, man. Like,
Well, yeah, I think something that really like coming from Connecticut, once again talking about Connecticut, was like I grew up around like a lot of people who like were like very upper class. Like I had like friends through school and stuff whose like families were like just like top of the 1%, like crazy amounts of money. And I remember going over their houses and being like, holy crap, like y'all got the new PlayStation, y'all got this, y'all got that, y'all got that. But like they were still like pretty unhappy. And
Mm.
like even like having dinner with their parents and stuff, and the parents are like, don't enjoy what they do on a day-to-day basis. Like just don't enjoy. And you think to yourself, like, yo, y'all have so much, but it's like still not enough because you don't love what you do. And
right,
I feel like those experiences are what pushed me towards like chasing music, even when it felt like it didn't feel like it was the smartest thing to do. Like, like it was just remembering, like knowing, okay, yeah, I could go like grind at this job, which for some people that's the dream. So I'm not trying to hate on that specifically, but I could go follow a path that isn't mine. I can get to the end of it. I could acquire all the worldly possessions I could want, and I could still like it still won't mean as much to me as like being sitting at home and playing my guitar. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I just seen that firsthand, and because I'm talking about like being at dinner with my friend's dad, and the dad is like, you know, has like a Lamborghini in the driveway, like some crazy cars, crazy huge house, and he's talking about, yeah, man, I remember back in the day, like back when I was fixing up cars, that was the best period of my life. I mean, you're like, yo, dude, like I'm like, he's like, now I just run a multinational corporation. And it's like,
It
yo,
just, but money doesn't buy
you
happiness.
know,
he doesn't buy
yeah,
it.
like you get to that point where you realize, like, damn, like I gave away all my time and I got all this stuff, but like I really wish I could just have the time back to do what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Time's more important than money. I'll tell you that.
Mm. I'll take a little bit of both if I'm honest, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard. No, don't get me wrong.
Because if you're grinding out, say if you're grinding out at some piece of shit job, I'll just say it, a piece of shit job that the people
Yeah.
just don't care about you at, and they're abusing your time and just overworking you. Yeah, you're making the money, but then you have no time. You're so beat down from coming home from that job to the point you're unhappy. You can't even enjoy the money.
Listen, man, and that's what I hope people like get from watching the Avalon video. Like we were trying to communicate exactly
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely.
You literally spend your time in like, I don't want to say cubicle. Neither of us ever worked in cubicles. We worked at like, in those
Speak
open
for
office.
yourself. I worked in a cubicle.
All right, my bad, my bad. I never worked in a cubicle. I only worked in open office spaces, but whatever, wherever you're working and grinding away at, like there's this period where you're like, oh wow, like I can afford things that I was never able to afford before, but I'm spending my entire time just like daydreaming at my desk, one like wishing I could be somewhere else. And so yeah, there's like this weird cognitive dissonance where it feels like you're finally able to do the things that you want, but you don't have any of the time to do them. And that really like, yeah, that there's Avalon for you.
Yeah. And this is going to be released into a side A. We're getting that this September and
Right.
a couple weeks here now. But then the side B is going to be coming out top of 2025.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be big.
I'm excited. Really excited for both sides of the album equally, but side B has
Yeah,
part of my heart.
I'm excited for people. It's funny, I'm more of a side A guy, but that's by design when you're in a duo. But I'm just excited for people to like hear both sides and kind of like see why we split them up and like go on the two mini journeys and explore them together.
Right. It's kind of like a speaker box love below situation where like I don't want like we both are equally invested on both sides of the album, but you can definitely see our different personalities shine on both sides respectively. So like Corey said, there's kind of like a, who's like a choose your own fighter kind of a situation. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
that's going to be
definitely.
one theme on side A and the other theme on side B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, not to give away too many spoilers, but I think side A is like definitely brighter, maybe a little bit more like bubbly, a little warm. And then I think side B is more like introspective, more thoughtful. Like there's a song on side B that I played for multiple people and multiple people have cried. You know what I mean? So like it's definitely the side that's gonna like I think is gonna hit folks in their feels. So maybe side A is like, you know, side A is like when you're at the party, and then side B is like the drive home from the party, you know.
There it is.
Wow. Who are you guys looking to collaborate with? Are we gonna get? Are we getting any surprises here with this new LP coming out?
No surprises, but we got lists of people we want to collaborate. I know Corey's been really
Yeah.
excited about this band called Wesley, another sort of alternative R&B indie-ish like act. They're really great. Always excited about Orion's Son. Like Tiff is the homie, but would love to collaborate with her. Cruza is incredible. There's this other act called Ethel. I'm super into her. Corey, I don't know. Some other folks you wanna throw out there?
Look, I'm not even gonna. I'll say like I want to. Basically, this is just an open invitation, man. Like anybody hit us up. Like I just want to be. I feel like we had to make a record that was just a pure reflection of the inside of our minds,
Right.
just so we have it, just so we could do it. You know. I feel like from here on in, I think it's about to be like a really big era of collaboration for us, and I just want to work with whoever, like you know. So I definitely want to work with more rap. I want to work with more rappers, more hip hop artists. Um, I want to work with people that, where people like, where people see the marquee and are just like, how is that even possible? Like, if I could only, if I could call anybody specifically, I'm trying to work with Boldy James. So,
Boldy
oh,
James.
Boldy, I'm trying to produce for Boldy James, man. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Let's go.
Calling them out. Well, let's hope it happens. It'll happen. It'll happen.
that
You
would
know,
make my life, man.
while we're here, if I could get a hook on an Action Bronson song, I'll take it. I'm loving his resurgence, man. He's
Yeah,
having
you big
so
Action
much
Bronson
fun.
guy.
Yeah, I used to be, man. This is reminding me of college.
Oh. Hey, it'll all happen. You guys are working your way to the top. You got the sound, you got the success already. You just keep building. I see a lot of great things for you guys because it's all in the music. When you listen to it, it's there, right? All you gotta do is just put it on and play.
Appreciate you, man. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Appreciate you, bro.
of course. Is there anything else you love to let the audience know that we didn't touch here today? I think we covered a lot.
We did, but just to say it again, we're going on tour starting September 27th. We're starting in New York, heading all the way over to the West Coast. So if y'all, are interested in what you've heard today, go check us out, batheboys.com, and buy some tickets or buy some merch, however you want to, however you want to support. But really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the platform, man.
Of course, anytime, man. You guys are always welcome on the show. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone at Co-Science. Shout out to Sean for getting us connected and set up here. Got that
Yeah,
new single in my rotation, Avalon. Make sure you go download. Available on all platforms right now. You won't be disappointed. Let them know where they can follow you on Instagram too at Babe Boys. They can follow you there on X too.
absolutely. On X, on Instagram, we're at Bathe Boys on everything. So
You
show
guys
some
have your separate accounts too, or is it you just have the one?
love.
We just have the one. I
Just the
feel like
one?
the one is probably, you know what I mean? I have a private account where I just post pictures of the guitars I want. I don't know. You just go follow Babe Boys, and
We're working on it though. We're working on it. Coming
Yeah.
soon.
Hey,
Coming.
the less the Instagrams, the better. The more you could stay off there, the better.
you know what I mean? We centralize. We centralize. You know what I mean?
Well, Corey and Devin, it was nice speaking to you guys. You're always welcome on the show. I look forward to seeing all your success, and I will be at your show in September too. There's one of the ones that I wasn't.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll be at one of them.
Absolutely. It'll be so great to see you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that you do. And like I said, until the next time, I look forward to seeing everything released, especially with the new LP. Make sure you go download that, everyone, when it releases.
Appreciate you, man.
You
Talk
already
soon.
know. Peace out.
Peace.
Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
Peace.
Peace out.